Donald Trump was having a psychotic meltdown all last night over former President Obama doing a better deal with Iran than Donald Trump did. This was Donald Trump's worst nightmare, and Donald Trump is now getting the karma he deserves. There are headlines like this right now from the Financial Times. Humiliation. Trump battles charge. His Iran deal is worse than Obama's. We saw Donald Trump meet with world leader after world leader yesterday at the G7 and again today, and he's been saying, well, my deal was better than Obama's, right? My deal. And the world leaders were looking at him like, not really, not really. And then with grace, with dignity, former President Obama gave an incredible speech yesterday for the opening of the Barack Obama Presidential Library. And he was there speaking at the Presidential Center's stakeholder reception. And as Donald Trump was out there in France talking about, oh, you know, look how rich the emir is. You're rich, you're rich, you're rich, you're rich. Remember, I showed you all those videos. Former President Obama gave one of the most incredible speeches that once again just reminds people of how awful Trump is and what we actually could be with decency, grace, and compassion. And this is driving Trump nuts. Watch former President Obama open up the presidential library with grace and dignity, and nothing that Donald Trump can do, nothing that these weird Trump UFC fighters out there who are attacking Michelle Obama for, you know, whatever, just being heinous, that they can do. Nothing's going to break the spirit of the Obamas. Watch former President Obama. Let's play it.
There are people who aren't trying to get every last nickel and aren't cutting corners when it comes to values, and treat people high and low with respect and kindness and handle their business. Just salt of the earth, bedrock people. And there are people like that all across the south side of Chicago. And there are people like that all across this great country of ours. And their voices are not heard because we've got a set of institutions that have fallen victim to the siren song of everything's about money and everything's about attention and everything's about fame and everything's about getting over. But meanwhile, there are just a lot of people out here who are just doing the right thing and raising their families and taking care of people. And so it's fitting that she's with us here today, because part of what we want this center to be is a reminder of those people. And to make sure this country is true to their spirit. Because if we do that, then I think we're going to be okay. And I want our kids to be reminded of that, and our grandkids. And 50 years from now, I want people to remember that's what we should be about. So, thank you. Appreciate you. Enjoy the celebration. Bring your family, bring your friends. Mark with pride what you've accomplished. Thank you, everybody. God bless you. Hey, Carol.
Donald Trump was having a complete meltdown last night. He continues to make posts about a purported assassination attempt against him involving drones. He is terrified, alone, deteriorating before our eyes when we see him in public. He's seeing headlines like this, and it is driving him even more crazy. Humiliation, the Financial Times proclaims. Trump battles charge. his Iran deal is worse than Obama's. And throughout the day yesterday, we heard Donald Trump in every meeting with the Emir of Qatar, with the president of the UAE, with whichever world leader he was with. He was saying, oh, aren't I better than Obama? Aren't I better than with Obama? Aren't I still better than him? And now we're having all this video footage of Donald Trump's surface of him saying, I would never give Iran any money at all. I would never do that. Obama's deal is so bad. And we know right now the Trump deal gives Iran $300 billion in an investment fund. Here's what Donald Trump previously said. CNN put together a very strong montage. Let's play it.
I would have never given him back the money. I would have said, the money is off the table. Let's start negotiating. And you know what? I would have won that negotiation. We can't continue to make deals like that horrible Iran deal where we give them $150 billion back. The Iran deal was so bad. We paid $150 billion to sign a horrible agreement.
Now, how do the average voters think about Donald Trump? How do former Trump voters think about Donald Trump? Here's what a former Ohio Trump voter had to say. Play this clip.
If you could talk to President Trump directly right now, what would you tell him?
Should you want me to really say it on air? I say you. And I don't mean to be disrespectful to any leader, but he's disrespectful to us, and he doesn't care. So.
And last night, the news kept on getting worse for Donald Trump. You see, Trump-endorsed candidates are losing, and Democrats now are leading big in certain critical polls. You take a look, for example, in Georgia, where Rick Jackson won the Republican nomination for Georgia governor, defeating the Trump-endorsed Burt Jones. The voters in Georgia rejecting Donald Trump's pick for governor. Keisha Lance Bottoms is the Democratic candidate for governor. You've seen her on the MeidasTouch network before. She now leads Jackson 53% to 38%. As of right now, if the election were held, it could be a wipeout where the Democratic candidate would take Georgia. Also, Senator Ossoff significantly ahead of the Republicans there. Donald Trump under fire from his former vice president. Former Vice President Pence took to CNN to attack Donald Trump. Here's what former Vice President Pence had to say. Let's play this clip right here.
So, I mean, pretty bluntly, it sounds like you think, from what we know so far, this is a mistake by the Trump administration.
Well, it's much bigger than a mistake. I mean, when the president took that historic step to strike those nuclear facilities last year, this is the first time in 47 years that an American president had taken the fight directly to the mullahs in Tehran. And America was safer as a result. And the fact that he tried diplomacy for the following year to begin to make progress, and then finally recognized that we just got to take the fight to them, launched Operation Epic Fury. Our military responded brilliantly. But in this moment, the posture that we're getting from the Iranians, but my concern is what appears to be leaking out. These immediate concessions, particularly sanctions waivers right out of the gate that would essentially be a lifeline to the Iranian regime, I think is ill-advised. We ought to keep the pressure on, keep the blockade on, and if need be, let our armed forces get back to work.
And Donald Trump also being haunted by the footage of Oman's foreign minister from February 27th. Right before Donald Trump and Netanyahu did their unlawful and catastrophic invasion, the Omani foreign minister went on CBS Face the Nation on an emergency basis. And back then, February 27th, he said, "We've reached a deal." And the deal that he discussed on February 27th is far stronger than the deal that Donald Trump has now agreed to. There was no giving hundreds of billions of dollars to Iran. There was no Iran controlling the Strait of Hormuz. There was no removing all sanctions from Iran. There was no having those sanctions removed against Iran first, but any benefits to the U.S. take time to flow in terms of the opening of the Strait of Hormuz, which Iran can close at any time. Listen to what the Omani foreign minister said on February 27th. A few hours later, after this interview, Donald Trump and Netanyahu would invade, forever changing the landscape of the Middle East, forever weakening the United States abroad. Here's what the Omani foreign minister had to say. Play this clip.
When you say the heart of the deal, Iran has said this has to be nuclear only. What have you actually agreed upon? Can you give us any sense of why there should be more time?
Because if the ultimate objective is to ensure forever that Iran cannot have a nuclear bomb, I think we have cracked that problem through these negotiations by agreeing a very important breakthrough that has never been achieved any time before. And I think if we can capture that and build on it, I think a deal is within our reach.
What has Iran agreed to you that they have never done before? Can you give us any sense?
The single most important achievement, I believe, is the agreement that Iran will never, ever have a nuclear material that will create a bomb. This is, I think, a big achievement. This is something that is not in the old deal that was negotiated during President Obama's time. This is something completely new. It really makes the enrichment argument less relevant because now we are talking about zero stockpiling. And that is very, very important because if you cannot stockpile material that is enriched, then there is no way you can actually create a bomb, whether you enrich or don't enrich. And I think this is really something that has been missed a lot by the media, and I want to clarify that from the standpoint of a mediator.
So explain that. So the enriched material, the things that could be used as nuclear fuel for a bomb, you're saying Iran would not keep on their own soil?
They would give it up.
They would give it up?
They will not be able to actually accumulate that material that will enable them to create a bomb. There's no accumulation. So there will be zero accumulation, zero stockpiling, and full verification. That is also equally important achievement, I think. A full and comprehensive verification by the IAEA, which is the agency in charge of this file.
The UN nuclear watchdog.
That's right.
So you're saying all enriched material would be shipped someplace else, not Russia, but...
No. The current stockpiles that still exist.
The things that are still in Iran.
I think that there is agreement now that this will be down-blended to the lowest level possible.
Okay.
To a neutral level, a natural level, which means, and converted into fuel, and that fuel will be irreversible.
That would be significant if Iran agreed to that.
It is very significant, and I think we have agreement on that, in my view.
In your view?
Yes.
But according to J.D. Vance right now, if Donald Trump became the supreme leader of Iran, the Democrats would be upset about that. JD, what are you talking about? Why would we want the president of the United States to become the supreme leader of Iran? I don't even understand. Okay, JD, sure, JD. Here's what JD Vance said. Let's play this clip.
From the Republican side of this as well. It is a bipartisan concern.
Well, I think, look, some of the criticism comes from the fact that if Donald Trump were elected the supreme leader of Iran, the Democrats would still say that the United States had lost this. There is a fundamental refusal to acknowledge how much has changed in the Middle East over the last few months. And again, that assumes that nothing else happens. But if this deal actually comes to fruition, meaning if the Iranians actually comply with it, we have transformed the Middle East in a way that is amazingly beneficial for both the American people, but also the people of the Gulf.
Correct.
Now, also, it should be noted that Donald Trump's closest Israeli supporters, they're all turning on Donald Trump now. Trump's support in Israel was plus 23, plus 24. It's now negative 23, negative 24. You have this guy, John Podhoretz, who runs an Israeli magazine. He had an absolute meltdown yesterday on a podcast. And I'll show you what happened as he said, Trump betrayed us. Trump betrayed us. Trump threw us under the... Watch what they're saying there about Donald Trump. Here, play this clip.
Trump is now saying Bibi is indiscriminately murdering Lebanese, but the Iranians are nice and they only want to help their country.
The people who just tried to shoot down and kill 2 of our pilots last week.
Yeah, and of course, who tried to assassinate him?
Yeah.
Tried to assassinate John Bolton?
What's going on?
So I'm telling you what's going on. What's going on is something happened and he decided that he went the wrong way and he is ratcheting himself in the other direction. And it's almost as though when he was without restraint in the rhetoric that he was using, the militaristic rhetoric he was using, I only want unconditional surrender. I'm going to bomb your civilization. Da, 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 da. Once he turns tail, suddenly Iran's nice, Qatar is brave, another thing that he said today, and you will always be my friend, and you were so brave and so wonderful in these talks, and Israel is the bad guy. So, which is where he's going. Like this is the opening this weekend. He went from Bibi is, what the F are you doing? And you're without judgment. And now it's you're blowing up apartment buildings in Beirut and the Iranians are really nice.
And then J.D. Vance went on Megyn Kelly and she played another clip of John Podhoretz and had J.D. Vance react to it. You can see for yourself. Here, let's play this clip.
I'm going to give you a shot from Sound on Tape from John Podhoretz, who is the chief over at Commentary Magazine, which is very pro-Israel, very neocon-y. Preview, he's not happy. Here it is.
I honestly don't know if it could be worse. America is going to be in a strategically, tactically, and militarily worse position than it was under Biden. He made a choice to test America's resolve, and he has choked. He has chickened out. He has bled himself dry. Trump, the crazy lunatic psychotic who doesn't care about lives and will do anything and do anything, could not bear the idea of putting a boot on the ground anywhere in Iran, and could not bear the idea of a single American possibly being taken hostage, which I understand. I'm not saying that either of those is a good thing, but if you're going to go to war, you have to put boots on the ground. Everyone in the military has volunteered to put their lives on the line for their country, and that the country itself may have to sacrifice in the form of wildly higher oil prices. If you think that the American national interest has to be engaged in this process, and if you go into the process and you lose it, and it's a complete war of choice, you have made things worse. The situation is worse.
Thoughts on that?
Well, there's a lot to respond to in there, but I actually think John, I appreciate that because John is kind of giving away the game. He's saying he really doesn't care that much about higher oil prices for Americans, doesn't care about high gas prices, and he wants boots on the ground
and
in a
doesn't
country.
seem to care about casualties.
Exactly. And wants boots on the ground and casualties in a country of 95 million people where, again, the president of the United States never said that his goal was to install Reza Pahlavi to become the new leader of Iran.
And just to be very clear, I'm actually glad that there is a deal. Or a memorandum of understanding. I don't believe the American people should have to endure any of this. I think this catastrophic and unlawful war that Donald Trump and Netanyahu rushed into will forever damage and weaken the United States. The American people are absolutely suffering. I think that we need to, obviously we need to call out the genocide in Palestine. There needs to be a two-state solution. There needs to be a stopping of the genocide and the annihilation in Lebanon. That needs to stop. And so, as I watch this, I I hope that that can actually be achieved. When I read this memorandum of understanding, though, I see how weak it is and how, even what Donald Trump is out there telling people right now, as he's being told that this was weaker than the Obama deal, is what the Trump regime is saying is, don't actually worry about what the document says. That doesn't matter. We just gave Iran the document that they wanted so that they feel good, but really we have a separate secret agreement that nobody knows about, and that's what you need to be paying attention for. Like, that's what the Trump regime is saying, and that's outrageous. What's in the document is in the document. That's what you agreed to, and you need to stick to your agreement. I mean, a lot of Donald Trump's issues is he's a contract breaker. He's never a deal maker. He's a contract destroyer. And so I fear that this is very flimsy and that, we're going to be back into the other situation soon. But I like anybody, I hope that there's peace. But it is fascinating to see the Trump regime crumble, Donald Trump panic, and the current state of things. Let me know what you think. Hit subscribe. Let's get to 7 million subscribers, and thanks for watching.
Love this video? Support independent media and unlock exclusive content, ad-free videos, and custom emojis by becoming a paid member of our YouTube channel today. You can also gift memberships to others. Let's keep growing together.